Hello, everyone. My name is Andrei Kileshan, and this is Vlad Mana. We're both from Iron Will HEMA Academy Bucharest, and alongside our colleagues from Seven Swords HEMA Bucharest, we are the two clubs organizing the Ace of Blades 2024 event in the autumn. We thought it would be a good idea to present the rule set to you guys in a video format, because even though we posted the text format on the event page, text might be harder to assimilate, and it helps to have two mediums together, right? We're also aware that the rule set might seem a bit complicated at first glance, but the reason for that is because we wanted to create as martial a rule set as possible that incentivizes fencers to hit and not be hit. And we are also aware as organizers that whenever you create a rule set, there will be exploits. If you make a decision on one side, it will create artifacts on another side, and people might try to game that, or there might be some non-ideal scenarios that result, okay? But despite that, we think that by the institutions and the concepts we put in this rule set, we've managed to create a rule set that incentivizes hitting and not being hit. Okay, so how to remember the rule set is very simple from this point of view. You just need to do three things. You need to understand what are clean fencing actions, what are stop conditions, and what is the scoring system. And that's what we're going to go through now, okay? So the clean fencing actions, as the name says, are some objective actions that we've described in our rule set that if you perform as a fencer, you will get the point, and not only that, but if you were given sharps and you were taken off protective gear, you would still be safe. You would hit and not be hit, as the sources tell us, okay? So in essence, the point of these actions is that you are supposed to see them as the objectives you have when you're in the ring. Every fighter that participates, if they follow these clean fencing actions, they will get the points, hit and not be hit. And you just have to follow these things. We have 5 of them. You just got to focus on these 5 things, and you're golden, okay? Cool. Now, remember that all of the fencing actions are not dependent on their implementation. It doesn't matter if you strike with the sword, thrust, or slice. What matters is just that they perform a function, right? And if you do that function, you get the points. So we're going to go through all of them. Type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The clean fencing action type 1 is to hit and break distance. So if the judge says start, we're in distance, we get up close, then I hit mana and I wait, I do not get the point, like in other rule sets. What I have to do is to make an objective action which is breaking distance, unlike tempo-based rule sets where just, some time would pass and then the judge would say stop, right? So I have to hit him and then get out of range. Now, getting out of range, this breaking of distance, is not dependent on me. It's dependent on me and him as well. I need to get out of range as much as I can so that I check one objective condition. That is that his afterblow can only land on the maximum second step that he takes. So for example, if I'm here, and I hit him, and I just take one step back, and he takes one step and hits me, that is a valid afterblow. I did not succeed in making a clean fencing action. If I take one hit, and I step away, and he does 2 steps and hits me, that is, again, not a clean fencing action for me. It's an afterblow scenario, right? The steps themselves don't matter. It doesn't matter if the afterblow is doing passing steps, or if the afterblower is doing line steps, or gathered steps, or traverse steps, or combined. We don't care about this at all. What we care, even if they're micro steps, if they do this, that means they took 2 steps. So please demonstrate this now. If I hit him and I do this, and he does 2 steps, then he tries to hit me, his afterblow is out, I'm done, that's a clean fencing action, okay? So to summarize, clean fencing action type 1, hit and break distance, right? Clean fencing action type 2 is to hit and parry the afterblow. This one's simple to understand, but we'll demonstrate it. We're in distance, I hit mana, and then he attacks me. When I have parried the afterblow and made contact with his blade, I have fulfilled the clean fencing action condition. I have hit and not been hit, right? Be advised, if mana is standing in Sprech Fencer, for example, I hit his hands and I do this, that is not a clean fencing action because he hasn't attacked me. In order for me to fulfill this action, I will have to hit and then he thrusts me and then I parry the afterblow. Another edge case that we have here, if we do indes actions like the Meisterhauen or Schießen or Absetzen, right, and we perform it properly, then we will have considered that the attack and the parry have happened at the same time. So for example, if he throws an Oberhau at me and I do a Zornhau, right, just do it slow, and I do this, that means that I have attacked and parried at the same time and it's a clean fencing action, right? Let's do it a bit faster. Okay, cool. Clean fencing action for me. If I do an Absetzen, he thrusts me from flow, right? And I go here, right? That means clean fencing action for me. He attacked, I opposed his blade with my blade and caught him on my blade. Clean fencing action. Cool. To summarize, clean fencing action 1, hit and break distance. Clean fencing action 2, hit and parry the afterblow. Now, clean fencing action type 3 is to hit twice without being hit. We call this the double tap, right? Again, it doesn't matter what targets I hit, how I hit. It can be a combination of I thrust him and then I cut him again, which I did chest and hand, right? It can be I hit him once here, then drop the hand. It can be boom, boom. I don't care what it is, as long as I hit him twice without being hit. Cool. Clean fencing action type 4 is the disarm. If we're in distance, we get into ringen, and then I grab his blade and take it with me. That is a clean fencing action type 4 for me. Thank you. And clean fencing action type 5 is the ringout. We're going to have to use the, oh no, let's do it here because we can see it here. This is the line of the ring, okay? He needs to step out with both feet out of the ring. So if we're ringen, we do this and I push him away. This is a ring out for me, okay? Go back. If we do this and he only goes out with one foot and he's here, this is not a ring out. I need to push him with both feet. Also, this condition applies if he exits the link voluntarily. So if he's scared of me or anything and I just keep doing this and shit and he goes away, that's still a ring out and I get the points. I also forgot to mention something before, so we're going to do it now because we're buddies and friends. At the disarm one, when we're here, I don't necessarily need to take his blade. It also happens that if I hit him hard enough that he drops the blade, hold the weapon like spray fencer. Yeah, if I do this and drop it. That is also a disarm. Even if they stumble in their clothing or something and they drop the weapon, that's a disarm. Cool. So, to summarize, the clean fencing actions are based on function, not our particular implementation. And there's 5 of them. There's clean fencing action type 1, hit and break distance. Clean fencing action type 2, hit and parry the afterblow. Clean fencing action type 3, hit twice without being hit. Clean fencing action type 4, disarm. And clean fencing action type 5, ring out. Okay, now that we know what the clean fencing actions are and that they're the objectives that each fencer needs to follow during the fight, but that's fencer focused and oriented, we also need to talk about the stop conditions, which, as the name says, are the conditions at which an exchange ends, right? This is, regardless of what you do as a fencer, this is more important for when you're judging. This is what the main judge needs to look at and the spotter as well. So when a fight is ongoing, the number of exchanges will be determined by these stop conditions, okay? An exchange only stops when one of these conditions is met alternatively. You do not stop the exchange unless one of these things happen. So we have 8 stop conditions in total, and easily enough, 5 of them are the clean fencing actions that we just discussed. So it's a whole part relationship. There are more stop conditions than clean fencing actions, but they include the clean fencing actions, right? So if you as a judge see someone hitting and parrying the afterblow, okay, stop, you say stop, the exchange is over, and your award points to the fencer that did the hit and parrying the afterblow. But on top of the 5 clean fencing conditions that we discussed, we have 3 more. You need to stop the exchange as a judge if you see an afterblow happening, a double happening, or what we call nothing done. We'll explain all 3 of these in a second. So, the afterblow looks a little bit like this. We're moving around the ring, we get into distance, and then I hit him, and he hits me. Okay, a double, and we'll describe what the difference is between them, looks a little bit like this. We're here, let's just do it at the same time. So 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, what is the difference between them? Because they look similar, right? The difference is that an afterblow is a situation in which one fencer, let's call him fencer A, I'll be A and he'll be B, right? Fencer A attacks first, the attack lands on the target, and then fencer B's attack commences. So as you saw before, let's do it super slow. I start my attack, it's moving towards his body, and he hasn't done anything until it landed, okay? There's no motion for him at all, right? To do it a bit faster, we're moving around, and then the other attack comes. So the afterblow is when one fencer launches an attack, it lands, and after the attack has landed, they fail to parry or break distance, and they get hit, okay? A double implies that Either the two fencers have started at the exact same time, which we're not going to do with slow motion cameras now, but you get the gist of it, right? So if we're both here, let's try a thrust from Flug, right? Or Spec Fencer. 3, 2, 1, we'll do it super slow. 3, 2, 1, go. Boom, okay? We both started at the same time, right? Or one fencer, stay in the Spec Fencer again. One fencer starts first, let's say it's me, fencer A. My attack is traveling towards him, but it hasn't landed, and he starts his own attack. And then it doesn't matter if we land at the same time, if I land first, he lands second, if he lands first because he's faster than me, then I land second. It doesn't matter. The point is, a double implies either that both fencers started their attack at the exact same time, it was just unlucky. No tactical problem, they just decided to take the 4 at the same time. Or one fencer started the attack first, correctly from a tactical point of view, and the other fencer just ignored him, ignored the parry, ignored that the other guy had the 4, and they decided to attack during the attack. The key word here is during the attack. So if there's an attack coming towards you, do it super slow. I'll be here, right? I see the attack coming towards me, stop. Tactically, he did the correct choice. He started first, right? But I'm a jackass, so I ignore him, and I just do this, right? This is a bad double. I started second, he started first, right? Since we're saying during, that is also the term indes in the Lichtenauer tradition, which means meanwhile, as soon as, in the moment, right? In case you were wondering, there's nothing wrong with starting an attack during another attack from your opponent, as long as you can pull off a Meisterhau or Absetzen. In the same example as before with thrusts, if he's coming towards me, slow, stop. I see that he started, right? But I'm not ignoring his attack. I'm first collecting his attack, then I'm attacking myself. That is a very correct indes the technique that I've displayed, right? The same with the Zwerhau. He's coming at my face, I see that, I go boom, I collect first, and then I hit him in the face. Nothing wrong with that. The problem is those are Meisterhauen, they're not doubles. But there is a potential for a double whenever you ignore someone else's attack, okay? So, to summarize, the difference between afterblow and double is that for an afterblow, the attack of the fencer that started first has landed. For the second one, the double, it's during the attack. So to demonstrate them again, afterblow, faster. Now, let's do it faster. So, moving around. Okay, and double. 1, 2, 3, go. You see the difference, right? Cool. Back to stop conditions. We have the 5 clean fencing actions for which we stop the exchange. If you see an afterblow happening, that's the 6th condition. You stop the exchange. If you see a double happening, that's the 7th condition. You stop the exchange. And the last one, the 8th one, is what we call nothing done. Nothing done is when people get into ringen and they start grabbing each other in such a way in which none of them has domination, none of them can pommel the other guy or hit them or disarm them, and they just do this for 5 seconds, okay? At which point, the judge will say, stop, there was no domination, no control, end the exchange, nothing done. Super, now we know what the clean fencing actions are, what the stop conditions are, we need to understand the scoring system. So, the scoring system is based on 4 numbers, 3, 2, 1, and 0 points. That's all you got to remember when it comes to values. Now, how do you allocate these values is dependent on a combination of what happened during the exchange and if it was a clean fencing action or not, okay? So, we're going to go through them one by one. You get 3 points if you manage to pull off a clean fencing action type 4, which is the disarm. You remember, right? Grab the weapon, go away. You get 3 points if you manage to perform a clean fencing action type 1, 2, or 3, which are the hit and break distance, hit and parry the afterblow, or hit twice without being hit. And you get these 3 points only if you do them at the head or neck by any means, meaning strike, slice, or thrust. This is for head and neck, right? Or a thrust to the torso. So only if you thrust to the torso, you get 3 points. If you cut the torso or you slice it, you will get 2 points. If you pommel the face, you get 2 points. So to resume, any strike to the head or neck, regardless of its thrust, strike, or slice, is 3 points. Any thrust to the torso is 3 points, okay? Cool. When it comes to any other target, you get 2 points. So if you hit the shoulder, the arm, elbow, hand, knee, foot, leg, torso, like I said, without a thrust, you will get 2 points. Just so that everybody is clear on this, face toward the camera, this is the torso, The shoulders are not part of the torso. The neck is not part of the torso, okay? But it doesn't matter if you're doing a thrust at the neck or the torso, it's still 3 points. We're just talking about the cut to the neck, that's going to be 3 points. The cut to the torso is going to be 2, okay? So this is the torso, from here to here. The shoulders are not part of it. If you hit the shoulder, you will get 2 points, regardless of thrust, slice, or cut. Cool, 2 points for everywhere else. You will get 1 point if you hit anywhere, regardless of the head or any target you hit at all, if you do it with one hand on the hilt. So we're talking here about, go back a bit, the Das Geislen cut or the Degrassi thrust, right? So if I see him, we hear, and don't parry. We just do this at the head. That's not going to be 3 points. That's going to be 1 point, right? If I hit him in the leg with 2 hands, which would have been 2 points, but now I do it with 1 hand, it's going to be 1 point. Regardless of where I hit, or whether I do it like this, even if it's a thrust to the torso with 1 hand, or a thrust to the face with 1 hand, it's still going to be 1 point, okay? What we described so far is what we call special clean fencing actions, the ones that score 3 points, normal clean fencing actions, the ones that score 2 points, and lesser clean fencing actions, the ones that score 1 point. I think you can tell by now what I was discussing at the beginning. We want to simulate a duel with sharps in which you hit and don't be hit, and make it as martial as possible. So that's why we had to introduce all these variations between how many points you get depending on what clean fencing action you do and how you do it, with 2 hands on the hilt and in what target, or 1 hand on the hilt and different targets. Cool. You also get 1 point for Ringout. So if I manage to push him out of the ring, that's 1 point. And you will get 1 point as the attacker in an afterblow scenario, no matter where you hit and where you got hit. And the afterblow will get 0 points. So again, to demonstrate, if we're here and we're doing this and he hits my hand, 1 point for me, 0 points for him. If I hit his head and he hits my hand, boom, boom, 1 point for me, 0 for him. If I hit his leg and he gets my head, not wearing a mask, thank you, Mana, for taking care of me, that's still 1 point for me, 0 for him, right? If I do it with a one-handed cut, so I do this and he hits me properly with 2 hands, still 1 point for me, 0 for him. What we're doing with this is the following. The sources tell you that you should take the 4, so we wanted to recompense the attacker a bit, but we didn't want to recompense him that much that it turns into a sort of just sporty kendo match in which people try to hit the head or higher scoring targets so they can win. So as an attacker, if you hit but then got hit back, we don't care what happened in the exchange. You get 1 point, bravo to you, you were the attacker, but you were also kind of silly because you didn't break distance or parry, so you get, the afterblower gets 0 points and you get just 1. As opposed to, if this exchange, let's just watch this one. Stop here. If I do this and I back away, that's 3 points for me, right? If I do this and he hits me, that's 1 point for me. So what happened is the value of my exchange was reduced by 66%. Which is a pretty big number just to discourage you to make suicidal attacks, but at the same time, giving a nod to you that you were the attacker and you took the 4. Okay, so that's the scoring system. We do have to make some special mentions regarding the scoring system. The first of them is about the double tap, hitting twice consecutively without being hit, right? In this scoring system, since we have special clean fencing actions, 3 points, normal clean fencing actions, 2 points, and lesser clean fencing actions, 1 point, right? The rule is that if you do a double tap and you have a combination of one of these types of actions, the higher scoring action will be awarded to the player. So for example, if I'm here with him, right, and I do a cut to the hands and then I go a cut to the head, and that's a double tap, I'm going to get 3 points for the cut to the head. It doesn't matter what the order is. It can be first hand, then head, or it can be first head, then hand, right? It doesn't matter. I get the higher scoring value. If I do a lesser clean fencing action, boom, and then I manage to put it up and hit him in the head, I'm still going to get 3 points for the cut to the head, okay? So even between lesser and special, right? And of course, between normal and special as well, all the combinations. If you have the higher scoring value, you get the higher scoring value, okay? Now, the second detail we need to discuss is the afterblow. Remember that we mentioned when we did the stop conditions that the afterblow can be valid only on the second step of the afterblower, right? But if he does it on more than the second step, right, the judge is not going to penalize that. You're not going to give them a warning or a sanction. They are super entitled to do the afterblow. It's just not going to score. So for example, if I go here, I hit him and he takes 3 steps, go, and then he hits me back. The point is, I will allow this as a judge because I want him to nurture his parry riposte reflex. Okay, so he messed up the parry, but he still has the riposte reflex. And I want to nurture the attacker's reflex to break distance or parry or do something safe, right? So as a judge, if you didn't manage to say stop when this happened and you saw that they took 2 steps, let's say, I don't know, you're just tired, you had a delay, right? You will stop when you see it, and then you will say, afterblow was late, invalid, and then I get 2 points for the cut to the hand, okay? Just remember this bit. The final mentions we have to make about the rule set and the scoring system deal with the quality of hits, which we're going to call weak, flat, or incidental, grabbing of the blade, right? And we're going to go through that as well. And that's pretty much it. There's also the sanction system that you can read on the text. We're not going to go through that now. If you read the rule set in its text form, you should also read the system of sanctions. You have yellow card, red card, and black card for various offenses. 2 yellow cards make a red card, 2 red cards make a black card. For a yellow card, you get a verbal warning. For a red card, you give 2 points to your opponent in the match, and for a black card, you get disqualified from the tournament, right? So I give you the basics of it, but look in the text document so you can see the actual offenses that apply to each card. Now, back to the quality of hits and the grabbing of the blade, right? So when we say quality of hit, there are 3 things that the judges will watch out for, and unfortunately, like many things in HEMA judging, they are subjective and for the judge to decide. These are not objective like the stop conditions, but the judges need to watch out for them. So we do not score in this rule set weak, flat, or incidental hits, right? Weak hits are those that do not have sufficient power generation to make it look like a cut that would actually go through a target if you were using a sharp and they were live target, right? So a rule of thumb for this one is if they're just doing the cuts with the tip, so if it's this tippy-tap sporty stuff or even big tippy-tap sporty stuff, we recommend you do not score the hit, right? The arc is important as well. It might not be with the tip. It might be a proper, percussion point cut. But if they're just doing this, right, that's too light in our rule set. You want them to have at least some arc when they're cutting, okay? The same for thrusts. A weak thrust is the one that doesn't have the blade bending. So if we just go this, that's not a thrust. I can do this all day. We don't score this, right? There has to be minimal blade contact and bending for you to award the points. So if he's here, this will be a thrust. And that was minimal bending. If I want to do it properly, brace yourself, I'm going to go here to make it look like, I'm actually stabbing the guy, right? Now, that was weak. Flat is obviously, as the name says, when you hit with the flat, right? This one's an obvious example because I made an overhaul, but it happens way more frequently when people start doing zwerks. They get excited or tired, and then they end up doing this, right? So if they just do this, that's going to be flat hits. Don't score them. Incidental is when you're going to do it to me. Someone attacks a target intentionally. In this case, Mana is going to attack my head. And as it's coming there, go again, do it properly. I parry, but it jumps into my shoulder. Let's do it from this angle, so they see it better. So he's aiming for my head. Do it. I parry, and he gets me somewhere else, right? Go again. Most of the energy was dissipated by my parry. Okay, it wasn't a stellar parry, but his wasn't a stellar cut either because it didn't go through the guard, right? If he's aiming for the head, he collapses my parry, do it carefully because no mask, and then he actually hits me in the head, so it's this situation, right? That is still going to be a valid strike, okay? The only moment we're talking about incidental is when they're aiming for a target and it falls on a different target. So go again, shoulder and leg, for example. Okay? That's going to be incidental. Now, all of these things are for the judge to decide. We know it's difficult. HEMA's complex, especially judging. Please bear with the people. Nobody's doing things with bad intent. Don't assume that of the judges. They might be tired. They might not be seeing them. But if the judge says weak, flat, or incidental, you're going to hear this word, weak, keep fencing, and you're going to keep fencing. Okay? Cool. Now, the next thing we need to discuss is grabbing the blade. You are allowed to grab the blade, like in many rule sets, but there are rules for this. If he's cutting me and it's coming towards me, that's not grabbing the blade. He would have cut me because there's energy and impact to it properly. Go. So this is not grabbing the blade. Go again. If I've done this after I got hit, I still get hit in the hand. Okay? The way to grab the blade is ideally if you're in a bind, so we move around, and then you can grab the blade, right? regardless of whether you're in a bind or not. Let's say you parried, the blade jumped here. No, make it jump down. You jumped here, and then I grabbed the blade. That's also valid, even if there's no contact. Ideally, to help the judges, you're going to bend the blade. If you do this, the blade doesn't move, pull it properly. Okay? I can move around with it because the blade is bent. If I don't bend the blade and he moves it, that's going to be a slice, and he's going to get the points. Okay? So you can grab the blade, but if you have control over it, it's not coming directly towards you. And if you grab it, ideally bend the blade so it doesn't move and you don't get sliced. Now, regarding grabbing the blade with your hand, if he's aiming at my head and I do this, this will be considered an obstruction. And it will be considered that he passed through my hand with his blade and hit me in the head. Because he was aiming at the head, and people in the past have done this, and we can do it now too. They game this. They see a hit coming towards their head. They don't get to parry. They do this, and they're afraid, and then they get hit in the hand. But it's not going to be hand in our rule set. You're going to be presumed to have been hit in the head. This is called an obstruction, okay? Cool. Hitting the hilt. Let's say we're here. It's a common situation. I do this. Mana attacks my hands, and he hits the hilt, right? This is difficult for judges to see most of the time. It's also a problem with the big HEMA gloves because they're big enough that they might actually get a finger or not. And considering that tactically I did something wrong, I was completely exposed and Mana hit my hands or wanted to, in our rule set, a hilt hit is considered a hand hit. So you'll be considered to have been hit in the hand. Just remember that bit, okay? Cool. Well, guys, that's pretty much all we had for the rule set. Please don't hesitate to ask. If you have questions, go on the Ace of Blades event page. Right there, one of us is going to answer. Tell us what you think about it, and we have ample time until the second weekend of September to discuss it. Remember, Ace of Blades 2024, 14 and 15 September. Hope to see you there, guys.